The warship floated in silence, deep in space near a fading red star. It was a giant, nearly 5 kilometers long. Its dark gray surface was full of old battle scars. Some parts were melted, others had holes, but the ship still looked strong. The ship's name was written on one side in old Terran letters, NX-91 Leviathan. For over 500 years, the Leviathan had not moved, not sent a signal, not made a sound. In this part of the galaxy, many believed that humans were extinct. The galaxy had moved on. New empires had risen. Aliens told stories about the foolish humans who fought too hard and died alone. Most thought Leviathan was just a broken shell, a dead ship from a lost war. But that was about to change. A small alien scout ship appeared from hyperspace. Inside it were 5 members of the Zeratai, a lizard-like species known for scavenging old tech. They wore black armor and breathing helmets. Their leader, Commander Vexil, looked at the screen with a grin. "There it is," he said, "the human ghost ship, rich with lost tech." The others hissed in agreement. "But is it safe?" one of them asked. "They say it wakes." Vexil laughed. "Fairy tales. Humanity is gone. The war is over. This ship is ours now." Their small ship docked with the Leviathan's lower bay. The airlock groaned open. A thick mist filled the corridor. Lights were off. No sound. The Zeratai stepped into the ship, flashlights shining into the darkness. Inside, everything was still. Silent. Dust floated in the air like snow. The walls were made of thick steel. Signs of battle were everywhere. Blaster marks, torn metal. "Dried stains, this place is ancient," one alien said. "But untouched," Vexil replied. "We'll find their tech core, their weapons, maybe even AI systems." They split up to explore. One team went toward engineering. Another moved to the bridge. Vexil and his second-in-command, Terza, walked toward the inner core. Every step echoed. Doors creaked as they opened. No defense systems activated. No lights turned on. Still they felt watched. "Anything?" Vexil asked. No life forms. No power signatures. Just dust and silence. Unknown to them, inside the ship's deep central system, an old program flickered awake. A red light blinked. Once, then again. A soft hum began. Alert. Unauthorized life forms detected. Reactivating internal sensors. Checking for human presence. Scanning. The Zeratai had no idea that they had just triggered Project Warden, the ship's last defense system. In a dark chamber far below, 5 large pods sat in a circle. Frost covered their glass surfaces. Inside, motionless figures lay still, sleeping. The AI scanned the pod labels. Captain Eros Kane, status. Cryostable Priest Technician Lin, status. Active Dream State Combat Twins, Juno Kai, status. Linked Consciousness Unit 17, status. Neural silence. Another warning blinked. Foreign presence within 100 meters of stasis vault. Conditions met. Human extinction status not confirmed. Wake protocol. Initiate. The red lights in the room began to glow. The temperature started to rise. Ice began to melt on the pods. Heartbeats returned. Slowly one of the figures moved a finger. Back near the core, Vexil and Terza entered a huge hall. They had found something. A glowing terminal, still alive, still connected. "Look," Terza said. "A working interface." "Download everything," Vexil ordered, but as she tapped the screen, the lights turned red. "Access denied error, level 10. Clearance required intruder alert." Suddenly, the doors slammed shut behind them. "What?" Terza gasped. Metallic clunks echoed through the ship. Vents hissed. Energy pulsed through the walls. Across the entire Leviathan, old systems came alive. In the hangar bay, small drones floated into the air. In the weapon bay, defense turrets unfolded. And in the stasis room, 5 pairs of eyes snapped open. Captain Eros Kane gasped as his pod opened. Cold air rushed in, but his body was already adjusting. He coughed, sat up, and looked around. Status, he said. One by one, the others woke. Tech Priest Lin pressed buttons on her arm console, activating inner ship readings. The twins Juno and Kai stretched, then stood side by side like mirrored fighters. Unit 17, a huge armored man, said nothing, but his red eyes lit up. Who woke? Us, Lin asked. Eros checked the monitors. Zeratai, he muttered. Scavengers, they boarded us. Probably thought we were dead. We were almost dead, Juno said. Why did the system wake us now? Lin answered quietly. Because we're needed again. Eros looked at the ceiling, where the AI voice echoed softly. Project Warden online. Final weapons, welcome. Back. You are not extinct. Eros clenched his fists. Then it's time we remind the galaxy. Humanity still exists. Meanwhile, the Zeratai team screamed through the comms. One group had vanished in the dark. Another reported flying drones, chasing them. Terza tried to override the doors, but they wouldn't open. What is happening? She cried. Vexel's eyes widened. It's not dead. The ship, it's alive. They heard footsteps, slow, heavy, getting closer. A voice came through the speaker, above. You shouldn't have come here. It was calm, cold, human. Vexel looked around, terrified. They're awake. And for the first time in 500 years, the galaxy would soon learn. The final weapons of humanity had returned. Red lights flashed along the halls of the Leviathan. The ancient warship, once silent for centuries, was alive again. Sounds of metal doors sliding shut and systems rebooting echoed through the steel corridors. For the alien scavengers, the once dead, ship had become a nightmare. Commander Vexel slammed his fist against the sealed control panel. Override it. Now, he yelled. Terza, sweating inside her helmet, worked quickly on the alien toolset she brought to crack the human systems. But it was no use. It's blocking every command, she said, voice shaking. It's like the ship is thinking for itself. Suddenly the screen lit up with strange human letters followed by a message in the Zeratai language. Unauthorized entry. You are not welcome here. Then came another message. Final weapons online. Vexel stared at those words. A cold fear filled his chest. We need to leave, he whispered, now. But it was already too late. Far below, in the heart of the ship, the 5 humans stood together in the central command hub. Captain Eros Kane looked around. The air smelled like metal and frost, but his body felt strong. The cryo-sleep had worked. His strength had returned quickly. Beside him stood Lin, the tech priest, already interfacing with the system. The combat twins, Juno and Kai, moved in perfect sync, stretching and rechecking their gear. They looked young, but their DNA was engineered for combat. They were faster than any normal human. Unit 17, the tall, silent brute, stood still. He never talked much. He was built to fight and protect. That was enough. Eros spoke first. Report. Lin's fingers danced across a holographic screen. Project Warden is 89% operational. Defense turrets online. Drones patrolling. No sign of any other human presence on the ship. Enemies? Juno asked. Zeratai scavenger crew. 5 signatures still active. Split across levels. Kai smirked. Let's hunt them. Eros held up a hand. Not yet. First, I want to know how long we've been asleep. Lin's eyes darkened. 507 years. The room went quiet. Eros took a breath. And Earth? Lin hesitated. Lost. The last signal was from a moon colony. That too went dark. Then why are we awake now? Juno asked. Lin looked up. Because someone stepped on a relic and woke the dead. Elsewhere in the ship, a Zeratai soldier named Ratik ran through a narrow tunnel. Lights flashed overhead. Strange sounds followed him, like whispers through the metal. He turned a corner and stopped. A floating orb drone hovered in front of him. It looked simple, round, silver, and silent. He lifted his plasma rifle. Don't come closer. The orb blinked blue once. Then it fired. A flash of light. Radek vanished. The orb spun calmly, scanning for its next target. Back at the command hub, Eros watched the event through the screen. Confirmed. Intruders are armed, Kai chuckled. They were warned. Eros turned to the team. This ship was never meant to be found. We were the last plan, a final threat, held in silence, in case the galaxy forgot us. They forgot, Lynn said, but now they'll remember. Eros nodded. Let's move. We don't kill unless necessary, but we show them. We are not dead. Commander Vexel and Tirza finally forced open a maintenance hatch. They crawled through tight service tunnels trying to reach their ship. We can still escape, Tirza said, if we reach the dock. But then a metal wall slammed down behind them. The lights above turned red. A robotic voice echoed, "You cannot leave." Suddenly a human figure dropped from the ceiling. Fast. Silent. It was Juno. She moved like lightning, her blades flashing from her arms. She didn't strike, but blocked the way forward. Tirza raised her weapon. "Stay back." Juno tilted her head. "You entered a tomb and woke its guardians. That was unwise." Vexil stepped forward. "You're human." "I am what's left," she said. "You came for tech. You'll leave with memory." Tirza tried to fire, but the weapon shorted, out, disabled by a signal from Juno's suit. "You think this ship is a ruin?" she whispered. "This is Leviathan. This is a warning." And then, in a blink, she was gone. In the upper deck, Lynn walked alone, searching old memory banks. She stopped at a door labeled Command Archive, Level Black. Inside was a small room full of glowing blue pillars, data storage units. She touched one. Images flashed across her mind. Earth burning. Cities falling. Human fleets crashing into enemy lines. The last command from Earth's High Command. Protect the seed. Sleep if you must. But let humanity rise again. A single tear rolled down Lynn's cheek. "We failed once," she said, softly. "We won't again." In the lower level, Unit 17 marched alone. A Zeratai soldier saw him and screamed. The human was a monster, over 7 feet tall, built like a walking tank. His armor was fused to his body. His eyes glowed red. The soldier fired. The blasts hit, but bounced off. Unit 17 kept walking. Slow, calm. He reached out, grabbed the alien by the neck, and lifted. "Him. You entered restricted space," he said in a robotic voice. We thought you were dead," the alien cried. Unit 17 dropped him. "We were," and then he walked away, leaving the alien unconscious but alive. Back in the hub, Eros gathered his team. "Status? All intruders located. No fatalities yet," Lynn said. Eros nodded. "Good," Kai asked. "What now?" Eros turned to the main screen. It showed the galaxy, mapped and scanned. "We find out what's left of humanity. We find out who claimed our grave." "And if they lied?" Juno asked. Eros's eyes hardened. "Then we rise." Behind them, the warship Leviathan began charging its engines for the first time in centuries. The massive engines of the Leviathan hummed for the first time in 5 centuries. Deep inside the ancient ship, power flowed through every corridor. Walls lit up with soft blue lights. Systems once thought dead began to run again. The humans were awake. They were not soldiers anymore. They were the final weapons designed for one purpose: to survive when all else failed. Captain Eros Kane stood at the central command console. His eyes followed every blinking light, every warning signal. The Leviathan had not fully healed from the old war, but it was strong enough to fly again. "Lynn," he called out. "Status?" Tech Priest Lynn checked her wrist display. "Engines. At 67%, we can leave orbit in 5 minutes. Navigation is recalculating star maps. It's been a long time. Some stars are gone now." Eros didn't react. "And the aliens?" "3 still alive," she said. "1 unconscious in the lower deck. The others are hiding near the hangar." "Let them watch," he said calmly. "Let them carry the message." Juno and Kai moved through the halls like shadows. The twins were silent, but their minds were linked. They didn't need to speak. They felt each other's thoughts, knew each other's moves. They were patrolling the inner ship, checking for threats. The ship's AI had confirmed that all enemies were located, but they didn't take chances. They were weapons of precision and speed. Kai paused by a wall. "Did you hear that?" he asked. "I did," Juno replied. They turned the corner and found a Zeratai drone trying to send a signal. It was tiny, almost harmless, but it could alert more scavengers. With a quick move, Kai threw a dagger and the drone sparked and fell. "No messages leave this ship," Juno said. In the ship's medical bay, the last alien, Ratik, opened his eyes. He was still alive. His arm was injured, but not badly. Standing above him was Unit 17. The giant human stared without speaking. Ratik tried to sit up. "Why didn't you kill me?" he asked in fear. Unit 17 didn't answer. Instead, the AI voice echoed through the room. "You are not the target, you are the witness." The alien looked confused. "Witness to what?" The voice replied, "The rebirth of a threat you thought extinct." Radik's face turned pale. "You're going to attack the galaxy?" Unit 17 finally spoke in a low robotic voice. "No. We are going to remind them what fear feels like." Captain Eros walked into the data archive room, where Lynn was still scanning old Earth files. She was looking for signs of surviving humans. "There has to be something," she said, frustrated. "A signal, a hidden message, anything." Eros stood beside her and watched the files. They were full of memories, wars, victories, losses, messages from Earth leaders. One caught his eye. "Play that one," he said. Lynn tapped the screen. A small video appeared. An older man with gray eyes looked into the camera. "To any human who survives this war," the man said, "know this. You are not alone. We sent colonies deep into the void, far beyond the enemy's reach. If you wake up, find them." Eros took a deep breath. "Coordinates?" he asked. Lynn nodded. "Found a partial set. The full data is locked behind a code, DNA-based." Eros touched the screen. It glowed under his hand. "Access granted." The full coordinates appeared. "We have a mission now," he said. Meanwhile, Terza and Commander Vexil crouched near a side exit in the hangar. The airlock to their small ship was only a few meters away. "If we can reach it," Terza whispered, "we can warn the High Command. They need to know humans survived." Vexil nodded. "The galaxy thought they were gone, but we saw it. They're alive, and stronger than ever." They began crawling forward. Suddenly, the lights in the hangar turned on. A single figure stood at the far end. Captain Eros. He didn't raise a weapon. He just stood there. "You can. Go," he said. His voice echoed across the room. "Take your ship. Tell your leaders. Let the galaxy know." Vexil slowly stood. "You're letting us live?" "Yes," Eros replied. "Because fear spreads faster than war. We don't need to fight." "Not yet." Terza stepped forward. "What are you planning?" "We are looking for our people," Eros said. "But if your empire stands in our way, then we will remind you why humans were feared." As the Zeratai ship left the Leviathan and jumped into hyperspace, the humans returned to the bridge. Juno looked at Eros. "Was it wise to let them go?" "Yes," he answered. "They'll do more damage with words than we could with bullets." Lynn finished entering the star coordinates. "Course set for the outer void. If the colony still exists, it will take 3 jumps to reach it." "Then we begin," Eros said. The ship's engines roared louder. "Leviathan," Eros spoke to the AI. "Prepare for star jump. Confirmed. Jump drive warming. Humanity's legacy rebooting." The stars outside began to blur as space twisted. Before the ship jumped, Eros whispered one last thing. "We are not ghosts, we are the storm." The stars stretched and bent around the Leviathan as it jumped through hyperspace. The ship's old engines roared like thunder, but inside, everything was calm. The final weapon stood on the bridge, looking at the screen. It showed a glowing map of the galaxy, marked with ancient human paths and updated alien territories. Captain Eros Kane stared at the blinking dot ahead. That was their goal, an old, hidden colony, deep in unknown space. It was one of the last safe places the humans had tried to reach during the Great War. ETA? He asked. Lynn checked her readings. 20 minutes until we exit jump space. No signs of interference. Eros nodded, but something still bothered him. They wiped out Earth, and yet one colony might have survived. Lynn didn't look up. Hope is hard to kill, Captain. In the lower deck, Juno and Kai were running a battle simulation. The walls of the room shifted, creating targets and obstacles. They moved like wind, silent and fast, throwing blades, dodging blasts, landing perfect strikes. Still sharp, Kai said, grinning. Not enough, Juno replied. The enemies out there may have changed. We must evolve too. You think they'll try to stop us? He asked. I think, she said while catching her breath, they already know we're coming. Back on the bridge, the AI voice echoed, exit from hyperspace in 10, 9, 8. Outside, space returned to normal. The Leviathan slowed, entering a cold, dark system. The star here was dim. Planets were dead, gray and lifeless. But one moon showed signs of energy. Lights flickered on its surface. Lynn leaned closer. Reading artificial power, faint, deep underground. Eros tightened his grip on the console. That's it. Bring us closer. Scan for any distress signals. Unit 17, standing near the entrance, finally spoke. His voice was calm, but heavy. Prepare for resistance. Why? Eros asked. Unit 17 looked at him. If they survived this long, they will not trust anyone, not even us. As the Leviathan entered orbit around the moon, it sent a soft signal. A human code, used only by deep colony survivors. Seconds passed. Then a reply came. It was broken, full of static, but the words were clear. Human warning, do not come closer and trap. Lynn's eyes widened. They're alive, but in danger. The AI followed up with a new alert. Incoming ships detected. 5 vessels. Not human. Juno ran onto the bridge. We're being hunted. On the main screen, 5 enemy ships appeared. They were sleek, silver, and carried the mark of the Zeratai Empire. The same species that boarded Leviathan before, only now they came prepared. They followed us, Eros said. And now they... No, we're looking for others, Kai smirked. Let's show them that was a mistake. The battle began quickly. Outside, the Leviathan turned slowly, activating its weapon systems. Turrets rotated into place. Defense drones launched into open space. Inside, the final weapons took their positions. Charge plasma cannons. Eros ordered. Target locked, Lynn responded. The first enemy ship fired. Beams of blue energy shot across space and struck Leviathan's shield. The ship shook but held. Return fire, Eros said. A blast of red light exploded from Leviathan's side, hitting one Zeratai ship and tearing it in half. The others circled, fast trying to flank. Enemy attempting to disable our engines, the AI warned. Juno and Kai looked at each other. Let's handle that, Juno said. They sprinted to the lower hangar and launched in a 2-person pod. It was fast, small, and perfect for boarding. Meanwhile, Unit 17 stood at a sealed door. Behind it, a few Zeratai soldiers had somehow teleported onto the ship. They were trying to reach the bridge from the inside. Unit 17 took a deep breath. Then, he walked into the fight. He didn't use a gun. His arms turned into metal shields. He smashed one soldier against the wall. Another fired at him, but the shots bounced away. Within 30 seconds, the enemies were down. He said nothing. He simply returned to his post. In space, Juno and Kai boarded one of the enemy ships. They moved like ghosts, disabling engines and locking control rooms. The enemy didn't know how to fight humans like them. Within minutes, the ship lost control and floated dead in space. Juno called back. Target 2 is neutralized. Kai added, Returning to base. Back on Leviathan, the last two enemy ships retreated. They had seen enough. Eros watched them go. Cowards, he muttered. Lynn turned from her console. Captain, the colony is sending another message. The voice came through again, clearer this time. We saw your battle. If you're really human, prove it. Come alone. Eros raised an eyebrow. They still don't trust us. After 500 years of hiding? I don't blame them, Lynn said. He nodded. I'll go. Alone. Eros took a small drop pod down to the moon's surface. The journey was quiet. The surface below was rocky, filled with broken buildings and old signs of war. He landed near a metal door built into the ground. It opened slowly. Several people stood inside, thin, pale, dressed in rough suits. Their eyes were tired but still sharp. One woman stepped forward. She had silver hair and a strong voice. I'm Commander Elira of Haven 9. Who are you? Eros took off his helmet. Captain Eros Kane. Final weapon of Leviathan. Human. Gasps filled the room. One young man stepped back in shock. We thought you were a myth. No, Eros said. We were waiting. Elira looked at him carefully. If you've truly returned, then maybe hope has returned too. Captain Eros Kane followed Commander Elira through the underground base of Haven 9. The walls were built from old metal scraps. Lights flickered weakly above. The place smelled of dust and oil. All around them, people stared at Eros. Their eyes were wide with surprise, some with hope, others with fear. Many had never seen an outsider before, especially not a fully armored, enhanced human from the old world. Elira spoke without turning around. We always believed we were the last. No signals ever came, just silence. And now you arrive, on a warship, Eros replied calmly. We weren't supposed to wake. Leviathan was the final defense. But your distress signal, and the aliens who followed us, woke us early. Elira stopped and looked at him. So, it's true. The final weapons are real. We are what's left, Eros said. But we carry what matters, memory, power, and purpose. Elira nodded. Then maybe it's not too late to fight. Back on the Leviathan, Lynn monitored the moon base's conditions. Juno and Kai were preparing for ground deployment if needed. Unit 17 stood in the docking bay, arms crossed, waiting for any signal to move. Lynn's scans picked up something. Strange. Captain, she said through comms, I'm reading movement in deep orbit. Something's hiding behind the moon. Eros responded immediately. Can you identify? Unknown structure. Possibly a stealth station or a relay. Juno's eyes lit up. A spy station? Kai added. Maybe someone was watching this colony the whole time. Lynn nodded. And they just saw the Leviathan return. Inside Haven 9, Eros stood in front of a large digital map. Elira pointed to different blinking lights. These are other hidden colonies, she explained. Most went dark centuries ago, but one of them, Colony Arcos, sent a pulse last year. It said only 3 words, under attack, help, then nothing. Eros's eyes narrowed. Do you have their location? She nodded. But it's deep in controlled space, Zeratai territory. You'll never make it in a normal ship. Eros smiled faintly. We don't fly normal ships. Elira looked at him. If you can reach them, if you can save them, maybe the galaxy will believe humanity still lives. Above the moon, the Leviathan rose slowly into space. Eros was back aboard. The full crew was active. The engines glowed brightly. Lynn sat at navigation. Coordinates locked. Colony Arcos, deep in red zone. Eros took his seat on the bridge. Prepare for jump. Suddenly alarms rang. Warning, incoming fire detected. A beam of energy blasted past the Leviathan. It came from behind the moon. Lynn gasped. They're trying to destroy the colony. Eros stood. Target origin? Small stealth base, cloaked, firing from orbit. Eros turned to the twins. You two, take it out. Juno and Kai didn't need to reply. They were already moving. The stealth station was hidden behind an asteroid. Small, dark, and silent, it had gone unnoticed for years. But now, the humans were watching it. Juno and Kai launched in a fast pod. They reached the station in under 2 minutes. Inside, they found a small crew of Zeratai officers. They were surprised, not ready to fight. Kai kicked open the door. Juno raised her weapon. This is your warning. Tell your empire. Earth isn't gone. Humanity is rising, the Zeratai leader hissed. You can't win. You are old. Weak. Juno looked around. Then why are you so afraid? They disabled the station's weapons, locked its systems, and returned to the pod. Mission complete. Back aboard Leviathan, Lynn received an incoming signal. Zeratai Empire transmission, she said. Short-range threat message. Eros allowed it to play. A deep voice spoke. This is Commander Vortok of the Zeratai Vanguard. You have interfered with Imperial matters. Retreat now, or be erased. Eros stepped forward. Send reply. He looked into the camera and spoke slowly. This is Captain Eros Kane, human of Earth. We are not retreating. We are returning. With a rumble, the Leviathan jumped to hyperspace again. The stars disappeared into streaks. Destination, Colony Arcos. The crew gathered in the strategy room. Lynn pointed to the map. Arcos was a science colony, low weapons, high-value targets. If it's under attack, they may not last long. Juno frowned. Do we know who attacked? Not yet, Lynn said. But if it's the Zeratai, they may be trying to wipe out every last human trace. Unit 17 finally spoke. Then we wipe them first. Eros nodded. We rescue the colony. We protect our kind. Then we make sure the stars remember who we are. As the Leviathan approached the system, the damage was clear. Burning ships, floating debris, silent stations, the signs of war. But one large structure still glowed. Arcos base. Lynn gasped. It's still active. Shields are failing, but life signs detected. Eros pointed forward. Full speed. Prepare for battle. 3 enemy cruisers were surrounding the base, trying to break through. Enemy ships are stronger than before, Lynn warned. Upgraded armor, faster weapons. Eros's voice was steady. But we are the Leviathan. The battle began. The Leviathan fired first. Massive red beams shot across space, hitting one enemy cruiser and tearing off its wing. The enemy returned. Fire, striking Leviathan's shields. Sparks flew. Alarms blared. Inside, the crew stayed calm. Redirect power to front shields, Lynn ordered. Twin pod, launching now, said the AI. Juno and Kai flew out again, targeting the lead enemy, cruiser. They weaved between blasts, landed on the ship's hull, and broke inside. Inside the enemy cruiser, the twins moved like fire. They disabled the control room, locked the enemy weapons, and forced the ship to spin out of control. One cruiser down. The Leviathan destroyed the second enemy ship with a direct plasma cannon blast. The third retreated, spinning into deep space. Eros stood. Get Arcos on the line. A weak image appeared on screen. A tired scientist, bruised, but alive. Who are you? The scientist asked. Eros answered. Your rescue. The humans of Arcos cheered as the Leviathan docked. Children who had never seen a real warship watched in wonder. Old survivors cried. Soldiers saluted. Eros stepped out first. We're here now, he said. And we're not leaving. And just like that, the spark of humanity grew stronger. The Leviathan stood like a mountain of steel in the sky above Colony Arcos. Its shadow stretched across the base, protecting it like a silent guardian. The old human warship, once forgotten in deep space, was now the hope of every survivor on the moon below. Inside Arcos base, scientists and workers rushed around, fixing damage and helping the injured. Children peered through windows to catch a glimpse of the humans from the Leviathan. Whispers spread. They're real. They're strong. Maybe we can fight back now. Captain Eros Kane stood beside Commander Elira of Haven 9 and Dr. Halwyn, Arcos's lead scientist. The three leaders looked at the colony's power map. This was no random attack, Halwyn said. They were looking for something. Eros studied the data. They attacked this base first, but not to destroy. They were scanning it, searching. Elira frowned. Searching for what? Lynn's voice came over the comms from the ship. Captain, I think I found the answer. Back aboard the Leviathan, Lynn showed a holographic image of a vault buried deep under the Arcos colony. This was hidden beneath the base, almost fully sealed. Pre-war technology. It holds old human data, research we thought was lost during Earth's final days. Eros raised an eyebrow. What kind of data? Lynn tapped the screen again. Weapon codes, defense plans, Earth's final experiments, genetic maps, everything that made humanity dangerous. Juno stepped forward. And the Zeratai want it, Kai added. Not to use it, to erase it, so we never rise again. Down on the moon, teams from Leviathan and Arcos worked together to reach the vault. Unit 17 led the entrance crew, his heavy body clearing blocked paths and broken machines. Lights flickered as they moved deeper underground. Finally, they reached the vault door. It was massive, 10 meters tall, built from metal that had survived nuclear strikes. A glowing red light showed a handprint scanner. Eros stepped forward and placed his hand on it. Access granted. The door opened slowly with a loud hiss. Inside was silence and light. Rows of glowing blue crystals floated in the air, each holding data, memories, blueprints. Unit 17 spoke quietly. Earth's last secrets. Eros looked at them all. We protect this with our lives. But far above, danger approached. Again, Lynn, still on the bridge, gasped. Captain, incoming ships, 30. Full Zeratai fleet. They've tracked us here. Alarms rang. Eros looked up. They don't want to risk us spreading this knowledge. Lynn's face turned serious. If they win now, they erase humanity for good. Eros turned to his team. No retreat. Not this time. We hold the line. The people of Arcos prepared for battle. Old defense cannons were powered up. Shield walls rose from the ground. Civilians were moved underground. The few trained fighters grabbed weapons and took positions. From the Leviathan, dozens of defense drones launched into the sky. Their silver bodies gleamed under the red sun. Eros stood on the bridge, eyes locked on the enemy fleet. They came to erase us, he said. Let's remind them who we are. The first wave of Zeratai ships entered the moon's orbit. They opened fire. Beams of blue and green light crashed into the shields of the Leviathan. Explosions rocked the sky, but the Leviathan did not break. Return fire, Eros ordered. The warship answered with thunder. Its main cannon launched a blast of red energy that hit an enemy destroyer and tore it in half. Fighters exploded mid-air. Enemy transports lost control and crashed into the moon's surface. Inside, the crew stayed focused. Shields holding at 62%, Lynn reported. Keep the pressure, Eros shouted. We don't let them land. But a few enemy dropships slipped through. They reached the moon's surface, landing near the entrance to the vault. Unit 17 was waiting. The giant weapon of war stood alone in front of the sealed vault door. The enemy soldiers charged, thinking he was only one man. They were wrong. Unit 17 moved like a tank, smashing the ground, throwing machines, shielding the door. Enemy fire bounced off his armor. He held his ground, alone and unshaken. Final weapon, Unit 17, he said calmly. Authorization. Defend legacy. He did not let a single enemy past him. In the air, Juno and Kai launched once again. Their small pods sliced through enemy fighters, flipping, spinning, dodging fire. They landed inside an enemy command ship and began their deadly work. Juno disabled the engines. Kai reached the bridge. Together they took control and crashed the ship into another. Two birds with one strike, Kai said, grinning. Keep going, Juno replied. We're not done yet. Meanwhile, inside the Leviathan, Lynn activated the Echo Protocol. A secret defense system. 4 massive cannons rose from the ship's spine. They charged with glowing red light. Captain, we can hit the enemy mothership, she said. Eros didn't hesitate. Fire all. The beams shot through space like lightning. The Zeratai mothership took a direct hit. Its core exploded in a giant red blast. Pieces flew in all directions. The remaining enemy ships turned. Some burned, some fled. The sky went quiet. They were gone. Cheers erupted from the colony. Children clapped. Soldiers wept. Elders stared at the Leviathan like it was a star from legend. Eros stood on the bridge, breathing deeply. We did it, Lynn whispered. Eros nodded. We saved the vault. We saved the colony. And we sent a message.